Oh yeah, okay. Listen, you guys have been here before, maybe not, but just to bring you up to speed, I'm always tucking in, always. And I don't know why, even since I was a kid, dude, especially undershirts, tuck them in, especially with the mustache that I might be rocking here long term. Probably not. There's a level of maintenance required that, honestly, I'm just not willing to front the bill on. It's too much of a price for me to pay. I like to get up out of bed, barely wash my face, brush my teeth, and I want to be out. I don't want any maintenance, having to worry about whiskers touching my upper lip. Forget all that. So earlier I was hitting chest, and unfortunately I kind of got cut short. What I hit was I had some, I don't know why, but I wanted to try squatting before just my regular chest day. I don't know, I'm just playing around. And then I went and hit incline dumbbell presses, and then I hit flat bench with pullovers, and then I smashed incline hammer strength with incline cable flies. And then I had to head out. So obviously I had a good amount of upper chest going today, which is, in my opinion, the thing to focus on chest day. Because the other things will just kind of blow up naturally, but that upper chest is just stubborn. And plus, if you have a really strong incline press, that's gonna translate over into higher flat bench numbers. So what I'm doing is just finishing up the workout that I had from earlier, and I've been rocking 2-a-days for few weeks now. I like the 2-a-day thing, not for any other reason. I'm basically sitting on my ass all day long on my computer. Instead of me getting up and walking, it's just, although walking is 10 times easier to do, this is just a lot more efficient for me. So I come downstairs and I'm hitting usually like a 10 to 15 minute workout is what I like to do. It's so quick down the hatch, and right after this, and by the way, it's like 10:30 at night. I think 10:30, 10:15. I don't know, there's no clock down in the dungeon. But I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna smash, absolutely devour everything in my way. My biggest meals come at night, because if I eat during the day, I'm just sluggish, man. Like, after you eat, life's really good. I'm not the guy who's like, you need to be fasting because you're missing out on, I don't agree with that. Part of the reason why I do it that way is just a ton easier. Right after my workouts in the morning, I have myself a shake or a very, very small meal. Nothing that's gonna really knock me out and I kind of just wanna sleep. No. I keep it super light, basically just enough for nourishment, get my body doing what it needs to do, get those little worker cells repairing what they need to do, and now I get to operate and go to work. It's almost like paying, an employee to do stuff for you, right? Just money in the bank, and now I get to go do my thing while they're doing their thing. Also, it gets me to come down here before nighttime, because it's like, you know what? There's nothing better than after you work out, smashing. The food just tastes that much better. You can be honestly having pretty average food. It just tastes abundantly better. Takes it from a 5 maybe to a 7. And if you're already eating 8s, it's gonna take it to a 9. I'm not a round numbers guy, I'm not a rookie, but I'm not going to decimal points talking about how good food tastes post-workout pump. You get what I'm saying? So I'm actually gonna start off, even though I already did flat benching, I'm actually gonna do it like this, because I don't know if you noticed, my barbell is bent off years of abuse. This chest press is a lot different than most flat bar flat benching. And it's because that little curvature, dudes, I mean, I was thinking about making a bar like this because I love it so much for chest days. There is nothing like the tension and stress that gets delivered to your chest when the barbell is slightly bent. So it kind of happened on accident, but happy accident, dude. So start off just to kind of get a nice feel. Like I said, these workouts aren't very, very long, but unfortunately, I didn't get to finish my workout from earlier. So I'm probably gonna go a little bit more intense than I usually do, but this is just gonna kind of test out everything we're looking for. Just to oh yeah, I mean, that's, that's good. Yep, we're gonna bump up the weight big time. Part of it is too, I know a lot of people are probably wondering, like, dude, 2-a-days, man, like, how do you handle volume? Like, what's your kind of volume look like? And the answer is that I personally go everything based on feel and intuition. So like, I'm not really ever counting in terms of like, how much sets am I doing a week, even though, like, you have an idea of this stuff. But I just look at it as like training everything, right? So like strength, hypertrophy, even endurance-ish workout where we're just like beating the bricks off of each other, or off ourselves. I don't know who else is working out with me. Dude, I love that noise. I love that noise. Going back to it, like, is it tough? I mean, for sure, but I just believe adding movement, like if you've been on this page, you know how much I hate calorie counting. Have never done it, never will. I think it's stupid. I think it's counterintuitive. I don't think it's actually us human beings should be doing it based on that. I think it's a good beginner exercise. I think if you're like very, very overweight, I think it's a good idea just to at least get started to have an understanding that like, hey, like some foods are more dense than others. But at a certain point, like there's a reason why, you know, steroid abusers legitimately can cut calories and up their movement, and they end up cutting beautifully for bodybuilding competitions. And it's because they're injecting, I don't know, ridiculous shit into their bodies that's basically optimizing their hormone profile. But the problem is if we try to cut our calories and up our movement, what do you think happens? We just capitulate our entire metabolism, and we're kind of fucked. So instead of doing that, in my head, I focus on, like, if you're going to go the calorie counting route, like I know basically most of fitness watchers do, and I don't agree with it, but do you think it's more beneficial for you to consume 3,800 calories but burn 3,800 calories, or if you're doing 2,200 calories and burning 2,200? Like, even if we're taking them both even, that guy's probably going to be in abundantly better shape. And that's kind of how I like to think about it. Regardless, let's get started. Very, very first set. Let's operate. And I'm going to show you guys the superset that I operate under, because you guys should know I love supersets. With the death grip, baby. That's good. That's good. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, I like supersetting a ton, but the way I superset's a lot different than the way most people superset. Most people superset typically different muscles. So like, you know, superset biceps to triceps, which I do, or, you know, chest and back. People are used to doing it that way. What I'll do is I'll superset the same exact muscle, but even the specific parts. So like, for example, on this, I did flat bench, so I'm going to do here, I would actually rather opt in for like bands or cable flies, but I don't feel like moving the tripod, and this is the same idea. So I'm still going to do this from flat, but I'm going to mix up my tempo. So I'm going to shoot up, kind of slow down. And I just do this to get kind of a different feel. Even though some people will be like, there's way more optimal routes, I like moving my body in different ways. Like slow negatives, powerful positives. Well, and sometimes I'll just go slow all the way through, just because I'm able to. I think mixing up those tempos, I don't know, just allows your body to kind of get a different feel, learn how to move quickly, learn how to sit in the pain of a set. I feel like it just gives you everything. So like, even if I'm going slow on the way down, I can even come up slow on the way up. And right now my chest is in a lot of pain. Jesus. But this is how I like to superset. And I think there's a legitimate art form to supersetting. Because it wasn't something like, I've always loved supersetting. For the moment I realized that was an option inside the gym. But I would do it kind of stupid. It was almost like I was kind of just like running around with like a chicken with its head cut off. Versus it being like a little bit more methodical and direct and dialed. It took time to arrive like, okay, let's try this. But I just personally find that, like, people talk about progressive overload. There's a ton of ways of getting there. Like, what do you think I'm doing when I'm hitting a flat bench and then supersetting it with basically like incredibly light? You know, if I had heavier dumbbells, I probably would have used them. Or like if you have an ability to do like isolation work where it's like you have cables, that's an incredible superset. Incredible. And what you're doing is you're overloading the hell out of the muscle. Because you just tired it out by basically lifting like this, jump right into this. And now you can take a little bit of a break, but the way I like to think of my breaks on a superset is, and we all know this internally, when you know, like, I could go back at full blast, right? Like, I can come back, I could easily get to it, but I'm a little bit uncomfortable right now. I'd like to give myself an extra break. I try to just go right in back into the set. As soon as I feel like I can go back into the set without compromising on the performance that I have, that's kind of my gauge. Because we all know, like, if I went too soon, I'm only getting a couple reps, and in a weird way, I'm kind of bowing out. But if you, like, find that really, 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 like, small window where it's like, okay, I could go right now, I don't want to, but I feel like that's where my massive gains just started coming in, on top of supersetting this exact way. All right, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm feeling a little bit ambitious. I'm gonna bump up the weight. That felt a little bit light. Boom. That sound is just... That's the problem with, like, nice commercial gyms, is everything's kind of silent. You know, like, dude, there's something about... Come on, dog. Stop playing with me. So I'm gonna go in for the next one. I'm gonna do probably 3 sets on this guy. Oh, Jesus. All right, maybe pushed it. Death grip. Ooh. Nope. Right into these guys. Okay, let's go. Come on. And what I do is I retract my scapula, especially with something like this, and that way I'm sinking deep into the stretch. Whew. I'm not compromising on form just because it's light. Matter of fact, I dial it in to where I don't even want to be anything off. This tempo is grueling. Come on, 2 more. I lied. 1 more. Tell yourself 2 more. You always do an extra one. So when I said 2 more, I was a little bit upset. I was like, shit. But I could have kept going. But like I said, it's my second workout of the day. It doesn't have to be grueling. You get what I mean? So like this one's, like I said, a little bit modified because I didn't do a full chest day earlier. So in a weird way, I'm kind of finishing up on what I wanted to do. Although I got some good work in, job's not finished. And so a part of it for me is I'm gonna kind of work out the same type of way, not nearly as intense. Also, you can see I'm kind of limited on equipment down in the dungeon, but you can still get it done. Probably the first few years I was lifting was down here. I've been lifting for over a decade. Kid you not, like fluctuations up and down. Most of you watching are probably this guy where it's like people know you work out, but like if you take your shirt off, a little bit pudgy, you know, like a little bit chunky, like it's not anything like, it's like, wow, it's just like, oh, you work out. And that's the worst feeling ever, considering you're like, dude, I'm putting like time into this thing and effort, like whenever I'm going in there. And you start realizing it's like these little touch points that make the world of a difference. And those touch points are 10 different points that you just kind of are you simplify it. That's how I look at things, is simplify to amplify. Simplicity is excellence. And so like for me, like that's why I like the superset style. First off, it's accustomed to how I like to do stuff. Low-key have that type of brain where it's like, I don't like just sitting around. The only time I ever really sit around is when I'm doing strength work, which is the very first portion of my lift. And that's all I care about, is how do I put up this weight between 4 to 6 reps, let's say. That is literally what's on my horizon. So it's easy for me to actually focus up and take a rest because all I'm thinking about is how am I going to get this weight up 5 times? And it allows you to kind of like focus in, and then you start realizing like I have to make my muscles move more efficiently. That's the thing about strength. Strength is about efficiency of your muscles. Where muscle growth and hypertrophy is about the inefficiency of your muscle. And that's why I would never work out purely for hypertrophy. Basically what you're training your body to do is become inefficient with how it moves. And for me, that sounds terrible. That's why a lot of people like you see gym meatheads typically, they can't do anything outside of lifting dumbbells. And by the way, if that's all you want to do is a different ballgame, I'm talking to you from my perspective. That doesn't do it for me. You know, like I like going out playing sports. I like going to run around. Like I want to be able to move my body however the hell I want to. You playing ball, you can play football, soccer, even boxing, jiu-jitsu. Doesn't really matter what it is. Like being able to move your body however you want and being able to unlock all of the hard work that we've done. I mean, dude, that's the point. Like if I can't move my body destructively, why the hell am I in here beating my own ass? I might as well reap all of the benefits of doing this thing and sacrificing time to do this thing to get the most amount of results. I think that's where people really miss the boat is most amount of results isn't just muscle growth. You want to be strong, you want to have high mobility, you want to be able to move your body coordinated. Like all these things should take precedence. Like maximizing your results isn't just a looks maxing game where I just want to look super pretty. You want to be able to move and do cool shit. Right? Otherwise, why the hell else am I doing this? Like, there's just no reason for it. And that's how I look at it. Wrapping up on the third set, baby. Yep. Boom. That's it. Remind me to tell you guys why I do death grip on everything. Well, I switched. I don't feel like fucking with that. The amount of times I've just tried to go for a last rep and pull off my body is, dude, countless. I do it all the time. Today, though, I don't feel like it. I just got to take this set a little bit further if I'm not going to take it that far. Sink into the stretch, retract your scapula. I even have to remind myself a lot. That's very normal. Sometimes you're just so into the pressing motion, you forget about the posterior chain setup. You set up your posterior chain correct, it all comes downhill. Because you've set yourself up for the best possible base. Oh, that's 3 sets. Knock it out the park. Honestly, this superset feels so good that I might do a 4th set. Regardless, this is basically how I do stuff. All of my stuff is essentially supersetting, mainly because you're taking time and you're stretching it out as much as possible. Like I said, you now know why I work out. I don't work out purely for muscle growth. I'm sure there's a little bit more optimal routes if I'm going pure muscle growth, which makes a ton of sense. That's not what I'm after. I want to be able to run, you know, hear my heartbeat, even though I'm not a big cardio guy. I'd rather do sprints or high jumps. They're just more fun. But zone 2 cardio, low key, is something I disrespect a lot. And that shit's kind of important, man. Like low key, getting your heart pumping and stuff. But I'd rather do that through something more fun. You know? So like that's where I'm trying to explain to you guys, like, it's your playbook. You do it however you see fit. A good amount of people enjoy my style of lifting that I've come across because it's very high pace, it's very fun, but it also forces you to be present. Like the idea of just working out for muscle growth in a weird way, like you can kind of go into outer space and kind of do whatever and then kind of come back to your set. I don't like that. Like if I'm in the gym, I want to be inside the gym. I want it to take my attention and that way all I do is focus on that. However, I don't want to just be an idiot just running around. And that's why I started super dialing in on how I'm working out to just give me maximum results. That's everything I've been doing. My goal is to be super surgical while I'm inside the gym, but also get more than just muscle growth and fat loss. And although those are a huge part for me, at least, where I notice I'm like, okay, I'm doing well here because it's a good gauge, but strength's also a great gauge, which is something that most people have an understanding of. But a few things like mobility, no one really gives a shit about mobility, and that's the reason why everyone gets so injured. That's why a lot of movements I do, a lot of people are like, oh, dude, that's dangerous and you can't do that. Difference is if you try to do that, it could, but it's because of what you aren't doing. I touch up all of my muscles to where I don't ever worry about getting injured. And this is coming from someone that used to get injured all the time. And I would have to lift super safe and kind of on my back heels. And I wasn't able to do certain stuff I wanted to do because I was always scared of getting injured. versus me just realizing like, well, I could do it this way, but I'm not enjoying myself. What do I need to add to where this isn't even a thought? And that's when I started diving into the shoulders and your upper back and your lower traps. And you start realizing, holy shit, these things kind of matter. And you start realizing like, well, how do I increase my mobility on certain exercises? How do I need to place my feet? Oh, so I'm doing a lot from like my front. Like I need to get my glutes more activated. But how do I do that without being like a weirdo inside the gym doing like glute bridges for 30 minutes before his workout? These are things you like, at least for me, like if I'm going to do something, I'm always going to try to figure out the best possible way of doing it. And I like using my way of doing it because I only know how my body feels. I can tell if I'm putting on muscle and losing fat, even if it doesn't agree with the paper studies mafia. Couldn't care less because it's working for me. And I think that's part of the issue is like conventional fitness knowledge is like taken as gospel, which is completely incorrect. Anyone could tell you, and anyone that's ever taken any science class, these are all kind of educated guesses. They just take it and they're like, yeah, I mean, this is what studies show. They indicate this. They indicate that. Versus you realizing like, okay, so this is just kind of there to like assist me. Use it for a perspective where it's like, oh, that sounds interesting. I'm going to add it in. But if you don't like it, it ain't working for you, why are you still doing it? Just because a paper study told you to do something doesn't mean you just blindly follow and just say, yep, that's what I'm doing now. I don't agree with that at all. And I think you zap your own self-intuition, which in my opinion is the entire reason why we work out. Want to be the most confident, most charismatic, like you want to have a certain vitality and energy to you that you walk around with, like a level of swag where people are like, what's that guy up to? And to be honest with you, I couldn't care less, but it's one of those things where it's like, as long as I'm playing the game at my best, I'm happy, man. But it's because of my standard. I just will not compromise on my standard, no matter what, because it's my standard. That is my self-respect. That is everything on the line for me, and I will never allow it to dip below a certain level. Regardless, it could be working out, it could be how I communicate with people, it could be how I handle my family or how I handle business, doesn't really matter. All the same way. I have a standard, I will not cross it. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you guys want anything specific, let me know, and I'll make a video on it. If you enjoy this, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you being here. Uncle Rami out. Peace.